Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Nitrug from nitrug.com, and I figured today that I would do a kind of a fun video slash post, and it's basically going to cover the 13 types of players that you're going to see at a live poker table. And I don't know why, but there always seems to be some combination of these sorts of players when you go to a live poker table, and it's funny. Like, they all fit the stereotypes, and it's great. Obviously stereotypes are generally a bad thing, but in poker it's just one of those things where you stereotype, you gotta stereotype people, and then start, just whatever information you have, and then start changing your assumptions on them based upon their actions that they do, and then that's how you exploit people. But these are just some fun stuff. I'll go down the list. I wrote out this list of typical live opponents, and it's in order of most tilting to least tilting. They're all tilting, but I'll just go ahead and start. The first one is the drunk guy on a heater. These guys are insanely annoying. Like, in general, they're really awesome because they're just putting in so much money with bad hands. But the part that's like key here is when they're on a heater. So it's really annoying. Like, you'll put the guys, like half the guys stack in pre-flop when you have aces, and he'll call with 4-7 suited and hit 2 pair or something goofy, and these guys are incredibly frustrating. They just they take all your money and then they spend it on like beer and massages and all sorts of goofy stuff. It's one thing to like lose your money, but then it's like another thing to see some like drunk guy just like dancing around with your money and blowing it on more beer and buying everyone at the table rounds. And the worst of all is when he sucks out and like feels bad for you and then like gives you like $1 or $2. That's just like the worst. Just rubs it in. The second one that really drives me nuts is the bad beat guy. These are the guys that like sit right next to you and non-stop just talk about bad beats that have happened to them. They're like, oh man, at this other table I got in kings pre-flop and the guy had aces. Man, I run so bad. Just stuff like that. Like, who cares? No one wants to hear your bad beat stories. I mean, maybe one or two. They have. Hopefully they're good, but don't just talk to a guy for like 8 hours about how you lost with an overpair or some BS. Like, that's so freaking annoying. The best way to counter these guys, in my opinion, is just put on headphones. Like, they kind of get the idea after a while, and they'll start bothering the person on the other side of them. Just ignore these guys. They're very annoying. If you give them any attention, they'll just like abuse that. They'll think that you're interested and then tell you more. So don't give them any attention. The other guy. These players are very similar to the bad beat guys. They're the dime store advice guys. These are the guys that teach you how to play poker at the poker table, and they're not like good at all. They're just like repeating random stuff and just telling their opinions on how you should have played every single hand, and all the thinking, saying what their odds are and stuff, like every single hand, just trying to show off their poker knowledge. Like, they think that they're awesome by teaching everyone how to play poker. I guess in a way that's kind of what I do online, but I digress. They're really annoying. Like, it's really annoying just seeing someone who has absolutely no clue how to play poker, try to teach everyone how to play poker without anyone's consent. Like, everyone's just sitting there trying to play their game and have fun, and this guy's like trying to teach everyone how to count pot odds or something goofy. So these guys really drive me nuts, and if you're one of them, just get the hint from this video. That's really annoying, so stop. The next one that's kind of tilting is like the haggard middle-aged woman. It's not that they're tilting, it's just how everyone acts when they're at the table. Like, poker's a pretty male-infested game. Like, there's just a bunch of like middle-aged old dudes, or middle-aged and old dudes, playing at this table. They got all their money flashing. It's kind of like an ego-driven game where people are trying to like out-bluff each other and show how smart they are against other people. It's very ego-driven. So you throw in just like one middle-aged like woman that's, you could tell she was attractive when she was young, but she's kind of like has some miles on her. The table just goes nuts, and it's so annoying. Like, you just be sitting there and there's all these old people using these corny pickup lines. It's just absolutely the worst. It's so depressing, like, just old people flirting. I don't know. I'll probably be old someday and get it, but just old people with pickup lines trying to hit on middle-aged women is the worst. They're just like, flirting is bleh, makes me want to throw up. But I don't know. I'm young, so if I turn out to be one of those guys, it's a possibility because I'll be middle-aged someday. But I'll try to remember that tip. Another kind of annoying thing are first timers, like people who've never been to a casino before. They're not really that bad because they're really bad players. So it's obviously a good thing to have them at your table. You want the worst players possible at your table and take all their money. The annoying thing comes when they like sit there for 5 minutes and everyone thinks that they're making a decision, but then they realize that it's their turn and they thought they were waiting on someone else. Like, just kind of stuff like that. It really, really slows down the pace of the game. Also, they'll just do goofy things. Like, normally in live poker, people will chop the blinds because they don't want to pay the rake. So, someone might not know that, or they might not know what like string betting is and goofy stuff. So sometimes you like out level yourself, and I don't know. They have such a one-dimensional thought process when it comes to poker that it just really slows down the game, and sometimes can actually like level you in some spots. The next tilting live poker character is the crusty reg. These are the guys that have been sitting there for hours, and not even hours, like days. The type of guy where you go to a poker room, finish for the night, sleep, come back to the poker room, and the guy is still there. Those type of guys. These guys live on caffeinated drinks. They just always look like they have the life drained out of them, bags under their eyes, just messy, greasy hair everywhere, and usually like a sweatshirt on and like a Red Bull in their hand, and that's such a degenerate lifestyle. But they're not really like as annoying as they are just sad. Everyone's had their degenerate poker stories, but there's some people they just have major problems. They're like bad rigs in the sense that they have a really unhealthy lifestyle. So if you see a guy like that, probably stay away from that guy. He's probably gonna have problems. If it's the first time he did it, and it was like Phil Locke or something. Going for some world record or something. So be it. But there's a couple of like really bad losing players that just have really big gambling problems. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. The next one is the degenerate. This is the person that comes to like a casino to play 1-2 and has like maybe $400 in their pocket and just buys in like $40 at a time and just like calls anything pre-flop and then just like shoves all in on the flop with any piece of the board and like tries to run up some huge stack and stuff. And these players are very annoying because they have little small stacks and they never fold pre-flop, which can get annoying if you don't have a hand post-flop. And then post-flop they'll just like jam in with anything, and it becomes kind of high variance but for small amounts of money. And just given that there's like rake and stuff, it becomes really annoying playing with these players, especially if they're on your left, because then they'll call like your raises all day, and they're generally just kind of annoying players to play with because they don't have any money behind them. They're really easy players, but they don't have any money behind them, and they just kind of change the dynamics of the game. The next kind of character is the old nit. Everyone's seen these guys. These are very old timers that have been playing the game for decades with their buddies. They didn't have any poker strategy, poker training sites, when they were young or anything. They just kind of learned the game through backbreaking effort, just over the decades, constantly playing with their friends, constantly playing at casinos. These guys are true old timers. They got experience under the belt. All their friends are busto because they've been playing losing poker for decades. But these guys survived by just out knitting each other. They play like aces and kings. That's about it, and they don't raise ever. They just like limp their aces and kings and then raise huge when you bet. So when you see these guys, just stay out of their way. Don't try to isolate them that much. Like unless you have like a really strong hand. Just if they raise, like believe them. They don't bluff. They've been living since the dinosaurs. They know what hands are the best, like aces and kings, and they just stick with their guns. That's how they play. Also, as a side note, if it's an old Asian guy, then he gets bonus points for being a nit. Maybe it's just my location, but it seems like old Asian guys are usually like old nits. I don't know. That and like old farmer type dudes too. I don't know. But yeah, just look out for them. They don't play that often, but when they do, they got it. The next one is like the Live Pro. Everyone's seen these guys. They're the guys with the glasses and the hoodies on and everything. They look kind of ridiculous. They're in there grinding 40 hours a week and make like $15 an hour or whatever. They're the guys that are sitting on their pensions and just playing out poker, grinding it out for fun, and making a little bit of money on the side. They're kind of annoying to play in the sense that they're gonna be better than the average fish, but there's still a lot of money to make from those guys. They're just kind of annoying with their like little antics. Like they take things seriously. They have like the glasses, the hoodies, and the hats, and some of them really get into it with like card protectors and goofy stuff, and they're like the well-known guys around the casinos that everyone's like, oh yeah, he's the pro around here. He's a shark. So I don't know, just they're just bad players. I mean, if they played online, they would get destroyed. So just play your game against them. The other one, the next character is the type of guy that isn't very tilting, but is very scary and creepy. It's like the mysterious, sketchy dude that sits in the corner. This could be. This is like the type of guy that you look at and he doesn't say anything the entire time, but you're like convinced he's a serial murderer or like I don't know, a drug dealer or something. They come in all shapes and sizes. Like there's the guys that are just like tatted up. But just like dark, mysterious, quiet, just sits in the corner and stares at everyone and doesn't say anything. There's the guys with like the trench coats and the hats on and the sunglasses and just kind of sit in the corner. There's like the drug dealers that are like tweaking in the corner. There's all sorts of creepy players that play poker. I was at the Bicycle Casino down in LA, and this guy was clearly on heroin or meth or something like that. I don't do drugs, so I don't really know, but he was literally like tweaking out at the table, and he has like a toothpick in his hand, and he was just like jamming his hand until he bled. It was disgusting. Like I don't know, maybe he saw like something in his hand and wanted to stab it. I have no idea, but this guy was like, it was like on the corner. I was like seat 7, and he was seat 9 or seat 10, so he was just like a few seats to my left. So he was like really close to me. He wasn't right next to me, but I don't know. Like this guy, I felt like he could just pull out a gun anytime and just start shooting people. Like I don't know. There's some weird, sketchy people that play at live poker. Sorry about that. I got interrupted, but there's some really sketchy people that play poker. So just kind of more avoid them. They're not really tilting or anything. They're just like sketchy. So just stay away from them. The next type of character that you'll see is the prop player, and these are the guys that are literally paid by the casinos to just sit there at the tables and play poker, start games and stuff like that. These guys generally kind of know the regs. They know all the staff and the dealers and stuff like that. They're just basically giant nits. They make money by just sitting there. They don't have to play. They don't have to outplay anyone. They just have to break even, and then they make their I don't know how much they get paid, but maybe like $20 or $30 an hour, or whatever it is. So those guys, those they're nits. Like, stay out of their way if they're playing. But they can come in all shapes and sizes. It's kind of hard to spot sometimes, but you'll overhear conversations, especially if they're like chatting with dealers and stuff. They're house players, and you can always ask. But they basically just don't play any hands, and just kind of stay out of their way. The next one that's super tilting are the Wretched Limpers. These guys are very annoying. This is where poker, like money in poker, comes from, is people limping and you raising and getting value from them and stuff. But sometimes at live tables especially, it just gets really annoying. Like, a bunch of limpers, and then you have ace king and you raise it huge and get called in like 5 spots by all these limpers and completely whiff the flop, just stuff like that. It's a good thing over time. You make a ton of money off these players, but it's those when you're getting like 30 hands an hour, you can go in really annoying stretches where you like don't hit anything, and these guys just own your soul because they like never fold. So sometimes these players can become really annoying. And the last character is the young internet kid. This is the one that like all the old timers always tease and stuff like that. They're the kids that play $5 sit and goes at home and are winning regulars on the internet, and then they go and try to play at like 500 NL live, and they just kind of like sit there and play some ABC tight taggy game, and they'll make some like aggressive moves post flop that are correct, and all the old people will tease them and be like, oh, young internet kids, and they'll generally like put on glasses and stuff because they don't know, like, they see people on TV and they don't really know if people can read them, and they just play their sit and goes at home, and they're not really sure how live poker works. They kind of have like basic understandings down, but they're very like new to live poker, and they feel kind of intimidated sometimes. So they're usually competent players, so stay out of their way, more or less. But it's just kind of funny watching them because they just seem very out of their element. With that being said, I think I covered just all the ones that I can think of. If you guys can think of any more types of characters, go ahead and post down below in the comments section. If you're on YouTube, if you're on my website, nitreg.com, go ahead and post in the comment section down below as well. If you're on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it if you guys subscribe to my channel. I come out with videos all the time, and it's very motivating when I get new subscribers to keep coming out with good new content. I also created a new Twitter account. It's twitter.com/nitregpoker, NITREG poker. So go ahead and follow me if you guys have a Twitter account. That being said, this is Nitreg from nitreg.com, and I'll see you guys later.